Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing a little bit more Historic Brawl, because we've got to make most of the format while it's still here, and while Wizards lets us play the formats that we like to play. Today we're going to be playing around with a viewer deck, not technically viewer submitted, it was actually a requested one. I stole it from long-time hater of the channel, Cimeres. Today we're going to be playing around with a deck I call Tiny Arms. It's Ghalta, and don't let her tiny arms fool you, because she's got quite a big bite. She's a 12 mana 12/12 with Trample, and says this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. So the more things we have on board, the cheaper she becomes. So she actually gets around command attacks a lot of the time, in a kind of a win-more-y kind of fashion, mind you, but still pretty good nonetheless. And it's kind of a mono green stompy shell, so nice overstatted greens creature spells, you know, something that last year's design was all about and absolutely loved. So let's get into, I guess, what a little bit of the deck does. There's lots of cards in here that you may not have seen. One that I actually had to craft myself. This card's really good, by the way. But I didn't have one, as it turns out. So, you know, Primeval Bounty, whenever you cast a creature spell, you make a beast. Whenever you cast a non-creature, you get 3 counters. Whenever you play a land, you gain 3 life. It's hard to really describe this deck as to the specific pieces that make it work, because it's kind of just a nice mid-range pile, and everything helps towards getting you to win the game. You may have seen this a lot on the channel. When we do viewer challenge days for Historic Brawl, Cimeres likes to bring Ghalta against me quite a fair bit. So you'll have seen this one beating me and getting destroyed by me. I think I do want to say that it's probably a 50-50 matchup between me and Cimeres when it comes to Ghalta. Maybe slightly leaning towards Cimeres, but don't let him hear me say that. This deck can do some really, really fun and absurd things. The one thing that Cimeres always likes to do against me is build up a nice little board using, you know, all of the shenanigans of extra drawing, you know, like, it's got Garruk's Uprising, we've got Primordial Sage, I think we've got something else in here, we've got the Great Henge, I guess that counts, you know, all of these cards that draw you extra cards when you play creatures, and then just happily having God Eternal Ronus in the hand, doubling all the power. Everything gets trampled because of Garruk's Uprising, or at the very least, Ghalta is a 2 mana 24/12 with trample, you know, that kind of thing. And God Eternal Ronus takes the day. You could also do Finale of Devastation X10 as a top end as well, giving +10/+10 and haste. So you can X10 this into a Ronus, give +10/+10, and then double it with Ronus's ETB trigger. Absurd. And yeah, you can give trample with Vivian. It's all good. It's all good. There is a Ronus's Monument in here as well. This is a pretty cool little card. There is a few notable cards that are missing from this list. One of which I did ask him about, and he said it might be actually quite a cool card to add, which is Selvala. This card is a bit hit or miss for me personally, but it feels like it actually fits into this deck quite nicely. It's a 3 mana 2/3. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it is the greatest power on the board, that person gets to draw a card. So it can work for your opponent, but it can also work exceptionally well for us in the right deck. And I kind of feel like when our commander is a 2 mana 12/12, it probably works well for us. It also adds mana as well, which can help you get towards that Ghalta and everything else along the way. That's one card that seems pretty good. There's also Vizier of the Menagerie, which came to me just before I actually started playing. It's a 4 mana Wait, hang on. Do I not have one? Is it Menagerie? I don't even know how to spell Menagerie. Leave me alone, chat. That one. Yeah. I don't even know how I spelled that wrong. Did I put... I thought I put Vizzy. Anyway, so 4 mana 3/4. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may cast creature spells from the top of your library and spend mana as though it's mana cut to cast any type on creature spells. Got 21 cards in here. It's maybe not quite enough to enable Vizier, but it goes very well with Ronus's Monument, which makes all the your creatures basically cost one less, and then when you cast creature spells, you gain trample. So there's a chance to do a little bit of a mini storm off with Ronus's Monument and Vizier, which I think is kind of cool. Again, though, maybe it doesn't fit. I'm not sure. Either way, though, I think we both agreed that we were not going to fix anything that wasn't broken. So we're going to be playing Sumeri's list as it is in all its glory and see how we do. This deck does some pretty insane things. It doesn't just be that green stompy list that, you know, just puts out nice value creatures and does boring stuff. Actually has some little combo finishes to it, so it's pretty interesting and entertaining to watch. So if you do enjoy it anyway, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It greatly helps out the channel a great deal. Leave a comment down below what you're playing in Historic Brawl as well. I would love to know what you guys are interested in, so maybe I can bring it to the channel in the future. But yeah, hope you enjoy, and let's get to it. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty then, you go first against Joyra, Weatherlight Captain. No removal for Joyra, which can be a little bit sketchy. How much do we have though, removal-wise? We've got Ram Through, Voracious Hydra, Kalni Ambush. Not a great deal. I think we're trying to like beat down really quickly, and does this hand do that? Kind of. Kind of. I don't know, I almost feel like this is a free mulligan. Tend to shoot Dryad though, if we can get that down turn 4. Is that too slow? Our opponent's basically a Paradox Engine style deck, so like if we have some artifact and enchantment removal, that's pretty good. I'm going to take the free mull. And it's basically the exact same hand, but it looks better, so pretty good. No complaints here. So we're going to go turn 1 Pelt Collector, turn 2 Florahedron, turn 3 Champion maybe. And hopefully that sets up Ghalta and Great Henge. So Princess Buttercup over here is playing Joyra, Weatherlight Captain, a 4-mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, you draw a card. Old Growth Troll's pretty good. That'll get us some pretty nice cost reduction. We can cast that next turn. It's a 4/4 that will pump the Pelt Collector. Sleeper Dart. Is that the one that... yeah, taps creatures. Okay, so... I could go to Champion of Lamport. It basically makes my creatures unblockable and grows a creature up, but I just don't know if I really need to care about that. I think I'd sooner go Old Growth Troll, get some more power on the board, so reduce the price of the Great Henge and Ghalta here. And we're getting quite close to being able to cast Ghalta. Or even Great Henge into Ghalta, which would also be nice. There goes an Izzet Locket. Alright, so the plan here, I think, is to go Jade Light Ranger, because if we explore once, it makes Ghalta cost 2. And if Ghalta costs 2 and we get a land and an explore counter, then we get to play that. So it seems kind of decent. So we do want 1 counter, 1 land. That's the ideal hit here. Well, that's 1 counter. I'm going to graveyard that. And I didn't get the land. Don't think we want the Once Upon a Time either. Let's get the beatdown going. My troll doesn't untap, but my Ghalta will cost 2 mana and probably close out this game anyway. So next turn we play Just thinking, if I have a land, you're not untapping, so I suppose there's probably no chance of lethal here. But we do get a pretty good turn anyway, because I get to go Ghalta, that makes the Great Henge cost 2. Then I've got 3 mana left, I can play Champion of Lambholt, redraw. I could also double the power of all my creatures, so this would go up to 3, so that'd be 6, 7, 8. That's lethal, actually, isn't it? Oh no, because you have to tap the Florahedron. Does that change anything? 6 and 8. Yeah, it'll do. I think it'll do. Pretty cool. Yeah, so that was kind of a race, and we raced and we won. So it's pretty good. I guess we were the tortoise in this hare and tortoise storyline here. Our opponent had to go fast. Didn't go fast enough. I do like Joyra. I think in the right circumstances, she's probably one of the best commanders in Historic Brawl. Certain should-be banned commanders excluded, of course. But yeah. Seems good. Seems good. Let's go to the next game. Oh boy. So this is going to be Big Boy Tribal versus Big Ramp Tribal. This hand, I think it needs to be mulled. I don't think Voracious Hydra, although it is the removal I'm looking for, is the right kind of removal, because I can't play it until turn 4. And Kinnan kind of gets work done early. Well, it's not much better, admittedly, but we got Bond of Flourishing and Crawl Harpooner can hit a flying, so if they've got like a Maraleaf Pixie maybe, we can hit that. Otherwise we're doing a little bit of ramping ourselves, so hopefully we can keep up with what our opponent's up to. They're going to mull a little bit. Not sure if that was their free mull or their mull to 6. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. So yeah, they're playing Kinnan, Bond of Prodigy. I kind of expect this one to go either two ways. We win, or we lose very quickly. So it's one or the other. They did actually go for the mull to 6 here, so they had 2 very bad hands, apparently. 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. And then for 7 mana, you look at the top 5 cards of your library and put a non-human card from among them onto the battlefield, and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. So their game plan is to get lots of mana dorks. It's a tough one. Do I actually... I think I'd take Nylea because I've got Vivian as my devotion generator here. We've already got Beanstalk Giant and our 3rd land, so we're going up to 4. I think it's Nylea. I'm not sure on that one. Vivian's a pretty good pickup, though. Does mean that we can minus next turn and hopefully do some good, but yeah, that's a really solid turn for our opponent there. So now they've got 2, 4, 6 mana, 7 next turn. It's unbelievable, really. Unbelievable. Alright, well, let's get the Crawl Harpooner out there. It doesn't look like it's going to get a hit in. And then we can play the Shadow Spear, I suppose. And then we hope we draw a land. If we draw a land, we get to Vivian minus Crawl Harpooner on Kinnan. Otherwise, we're probably just dead to whatever our opponent plays here. Is Agent of Treachery still unbanned? It is, isn't it? I'll scoop to an Agent of Treachery. Yeah, Kira Best of Sea God on turn 4, casually. Also, basically, a Agent of Treachery. I'm just not going to play this out. I don't find this fun. So, next game. Okay, we're in. Opponent goes first. They're playing Heliod Suncrowned, who was responsible for at least half my matches yesterday. I've seen him way more than I've seen a Seeker. I don't know why. I think he's kind of overrated. He's pretty good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he really deserves the slot of most played commander, which seems to be the case. This sounds so strange. I just don't know if I can keep it. We do have a Once Upon a Time. But really what I want is an early game creature plus removal. So, like, this doesn't provide me with both of those. I'll take the free mull. Alright. Early-ish game creature with removal. Get what you asked for, I suppose. Let's hope for an earlier creature. Thank you. Alright, what do you need to be at? 30 or more life. So they only have to gain 5 for Serra Ascendant to become huge, massive. But we do have a ram through, so... it's likely what I'm just going to do next turn, because Serra Ascendant's a pretty big boy. Not really to be messed with. Fountain of Renewal and Authority of the Consuls. Some very good cards from our opponent for sure. Opponent held back for blocks. They were punished. Get in, they'll gain some life. And there's the Heliod. Alright, well, we are going to go with the Old Growth Troll. It's going to pump up our Pelt Collector. Also come into play tapped, pumping up their Heliod. And we swing for 2. Is Heliod pretty good against our deck? I'd imagine it's pretty reasonable, especially with a Fountain constantly pumping the Heliod. We don't exactly produce lots of cannon fodder. Wow. Declaration in Stone. That's the first time I've seen it resolve. Is this instant speed? It is instant speed. So let's get in for 2. We'll ambush the Hawk in response to the Heliod trigger. And hope for the best. Just, wow. Alright. You know, I am a strong believer in there being situations where you were just destined to lose. And your opponent having last card make a stand seems like a pretty big indicator that I wasn't meant to win this game. That being said, Cavalier's not that bad. Those cards are fine as dumpables. This is red and black protection, so useless mostly here. Yeah. Make a stand. It's a card, alright. So assuming that their card that they drew or kept in their hand last wasn't God tier, they're basically a 6/6 down. And that's the thing that's going to kill me right now. The Great Henge doesn't change that. And a land doesn't either. And yep, basically just lost because of Make a Stand. We did this last time with our other Brawl video as well. Our opponent just had final card, perfect counter. It happens. Next game. Alright, we go first. We got turn 1 Elves, turn 2 Jade Light Ranger. From there, see where we go. I think this sounds fine. It's hard to turn down turn 1 Llanowar Elves, I think. Especially considering we've got a Castle Garenberg as well. We can get some early game shenanigans out. I would love to get Nissa's Emblem going as well. I still don't think I've managed to do that in a meaningful way. Calm down, deck. I know I said I needed some lands, but... Garruk's Uprising. If I leave that on top, it actually draws me a card. And makes me a 4/3, yeah. I think that's probably worth it. Give all my creatures trample. Our opponent, by the way, on Vorinclex Monstrous Raider. We're going to go with Garruk's Uprising. Get a card draw. More lands. Alright. Officially, Arena is drunk. You wanted lands? I'll give you lands. Alright, thanks. We're off to a really good start here, though. I think our opponent is off to kind of a bad one. If their best turn 2 play was tap Swarm Shambler, make a +1/+1 counter, I'd say it's not exactly going too great. Alright, hit me for 2, shot. We have Pelt Collector. So I can do Nissa Vital Force, untap a forest, and do I play Pelt Collector? If they play any creature, it's probably going to pump the Yorvo up. I'm not sure if I'd care to double block anyway, so maybe I'll trade a Jade Light Ranger to keep my Nissa around, making all my lands draw me cards. It is any land, right? Yeah, it is. We take 4 points off the board, though, so that could change the Ghalta math. So maybe I'm being greedy with my Nissa, but I kind of feel like just making my land drops into cantrips is worthwhile ability. I suppose I could just trade the Pelt Collector off. I don't really know what I'm on about. Like, Swarm Shambler on its own can't become a 3/3 during combat. So Jade Light Ranger can block that. Perhaps they've got a direct fight spell. Those exist, right? Is that what Ram Through says? Creature... No, that's only creature. Blessing of Frost. Alright. That's annoying. I think it's worth the trade here. I think a Nissa Emblem will go a long way for me. And I believe our opponent knows that. Absolutely. Alright, draw a card off of this. Old Growth Troll. So now we're drawing 2 cards a turn for the rest of the game. Our opponent is almost at Vorinclex stages now as well, though. So we're not exactly in a dominating position, but we are in a heavy card advantage position. Like, we draw off of a 4-powered creature, we draw off of a creature in general, and then we draw off lands. And we draw off of the turn. Nissa, who ruins the game, but not this game, makes a 3/3. I think the problem we face is Vorinclex comes down and then our opponent just has Ugin the Spirit Dragon and ruins the game. Perfectly fine game down the drain if that happens, because Wizards won't ban it. Imagine we're getting hit for 10 here. 11 here. I'm not trading a Primordial Sage for 11 points, though. I think if I'm dead next turn, it's to much worse things. Alright, so let's draw a card off of the Garenbrig, Cavalier of Thorns. I'm gonna get my creature ramp on. I think we'll start with Cavalier of Thorns. Balaged Recovery. Put a Forest into play, draw a card. Bond of Flourishing, Primeval Bounty. Now that is a card and a half. We'll play Ghalta. Draw a card. Draw a card. Crawl Harpooner. Yeah, it's probably worth playing. Draw a card. There's God Eternal Ruinous. And yeah, can't threaten Nissa to death. So I will just hold back for blocks here. We don't have a hasty creature, so Majestic Myriarch's not necessarily all that good. I'm assuming we've got Questing Beast in here. Right? No, we don't. Huh. Interesting. We'll well, Balaged Recovery is probably not going to do me any favours, but I guess Bond of Flourishing isn't really either. But I guess... I don't know. I'm either losing or winning right now. I guess that means Tender Shoot Dryad can go. Like, my goal here is our opponent doesn't have Ugin that ruins the game. Vorin Klex, okay. That makes a 6/6 land. And then what we do is we just God Eternal Ronus and we double up all this power. And we see where we go from there.
Be wary of the ground you walk on.
I just don't have the mental capacity to care about doing the math on this block. We'll figure it out when they go to combat. Evolution Sage makes a 10/10. I will block to the point where we are not dead. Tap land makes Yorvo a 12/12. Proliferates the whole board actually as well. I think we're still just dead. Wouldn't be surprised if we see like an all attack here. It's not going to happen though. Ooh, Colony Ambush. That will make some difference. Alright, well, start by drawing a card off of our land. So, if I went with God Eternal Ronus, this would leave me with 3 mana here. Wouldn't really be netting myself anything by doing this, technically, because this is 5 mana, it leaves me with 1. And I've still got my 3 for the Colony Ambush to take 7 points of damage off the board or something like that. Or I'll get rid of the 8/8 maybe. Something like that. Either way, no hasty creatures in my hand right now. So we'll draw a card. Paradise Druid. So we're going to double up the power of this entire board. We're going to ambush, make... let's see. Doesn't really matter who fights who as long as they survive. So I guess Ghalta fights the most damage that he can survive, which is this 8/8 land here. Makes an insect creature, but we have trample. I don't know if this is lethal, but we also just kind of die if we let our opponent untap anyway, so we'll figure it out. I think our opponent's figuring out whether or not they need to scoop as well. It's probably not enough. It's 12 on the block here. 4 here. You're alive, so it's 1 here. 0 here. Yeah, I don't think it's lethal. Oh, and in fact, yeah, they get the token, so the Yorvo gets pumped. So it's even less. Oh, baby. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to combat and scoop after I go to combat, I think. Depending on how it looks. They're all vigilant, mind you, so... anything that survives is back to block. But I'd imagine our board state doesn't look preferable after this. We had a really good start, we just had a really crappy finish. You can do it, opponent. You can block. Alright, 0 there, Yorvo survives. 1 there. 1 there. So that's 2 points so far. Ghalta must be blocked. So another 6 off the 24, so that's 18, 20. So taking 26 so far. If my math is correct. 24. That's 22, right? Is that 22? It is 22. All right. Oh, baby. God Eternal Runners carrying the deck as usual. Oh, my goodness. All right. Yeah, just, my brain just couldn't be bothered passing that. But I just knew that if we didn't attack there, there's no way that, you know, Nissa makes another 6/6. Then they, like, dump Crawling Barons into play or something like that. We just didn't have the blocking power to survive what our opponent was about to do. So, yeah, I think we had to go for it, and we were definitely correct to. I wonder if their blocks changed anything, because the Yorvo overblocked. I wonder, I think they might have actually survived if Yorvo had instead traded, or chomped the Ghalta instead of traded the Cavalier. It might have looked a little bit different. I'm not quite sure though. But, yeah, either way, we won. So, next game. You go first. We have a Dudley hand, unfortunately. This hand will not survive against a Nicol Bolas Ravager list. Whether it be Grixis Control or Dragon Tribal, it will be too slow either way. So we'll take the free mull on that. This isn't much better, if I'm being honest. Not being able to play until turn 3 is a big kind of no-no for us. Shadow Spear, while cute with Primal Hunger over here, is pretty bad otherwise. Like, this loses to single target removal. Once Upon a Time, Balaged recover. Sure. I'm not too huge on this hand, but I think we put a land to the bottom, because that's probably what Once Upon a Time's going to get us anyway. We pass the turn. So, our opponent is playing Nicol Bolas the Ravager, as I said. It could either be Grixis Control or Dragon Tribal. The list I run is Dragon Tribal. It's actually pretty damn good. Or it used to be, at least. Another 5-drop, that's less than ideal. Might have been worth my time, actually, to Once Upon a Time there for potentially Ladawar Elves or Paradise Druid. Since I made the silly mistake of playing a Forest over my Balaged Recovery as a tap land instead. Well, we're going to be playing Champion Lambholt here, so let's Once Upon a Time first. Punished. Actually, like, hardcore punished. Okay. Let's just take the land, I think. Play the Champion of Lambholt. Pass the turn. It's going to help us grow up a little bit of a board there. Going to need a little bit of help from the top of the deck. Our opponent on mono tap lands and removal. There you go. Yorvo with a survived a Fire Prophecy. I was kind of expecting our opponent to have eliminates and things like that, though. Since, you know, single target removal is just so much better than burn removal. Let's go with a Balaged Recovery just to annoy our opponent. Should we take a Once Upon a Time in case we don't draw a land? I don't mind that. I'm not too much against that, honestly. So the one thing we've got going for us is that these callers currently don't have a good board wipe that is unconditional. They don't have a Wrath of God. They do have Burn, though, so this Tender Shoe Dryad's almost certainly dead immediately. Does that mean I should go with something like Majestic Myriarch instead? Or even take that Once Upon a Time chance? I just don't feel like running my creatures into nasty things. So let's go with a Majestic Myriarch. It'll enter as a 4/4. It won't gain anything, but it will pump the Pelt Collector, getting it out of Heartless Act range, I guess. Maybe even get a counterspell out of our opponent's hand, which is totally fine. Bone Crusher Giant, the Pelt Collector, sure. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is Grixis Control. There's a Nikki B. We'll get rid of that Once Upon a Time we put into our hands. And yeah, I think we'll dump a Tendershoot Dryad right here. I'm going to offer a trade with Nikki B. I doubt they take it. But if they do, I feel like that's totally okay. Alright, give me a token. Myriax a 6/6. Name's Black with a Thriving Isle. It's like they're considering a Bone Crusher Giant here. Bone Crusher plus 2 damage burn spell on Tendershoot Dryad seems pretty reasonable. They're closing in on a Nicol Bolas transformation as well, so I would really love to see a Crawl Harpooner. A Voracious Hydra I think would be acceptable. No, it wouldn't. Ram Through. Those kind of things. Even a Call in the Ambush. Dispersal. I will go up the Majestic Myriarch. I will get rid of this Nylea. Been a while since I've seen that card. Yeah, untapped land means that they've got Transform Nikki B. Wow. It's what we want, but it's way too late. Alright, get you back into play. Swing for 3. Let's see if we can fade a untapped land here. Doubtful, but if we can get that, we can punish the tap out. Oof. Knight of the Ebon Legion. Means that they can't actually Nicol Bolas. Liliana.
This isn't your average zombie horde.
Yo. Not streaming, but Ruani Wolf. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Alright. So I can give Trample to Majestic Myriarch, which means I can swing through to the Liliana. We can also Call in the Ambush the Nicol Bolas out of the way. So that's a 14/14 Trample. There's actually... Ooh, let me just check for Missed Lethal here. It's God forbid that I actually have it and I don't take it. There's 4 points down, so that's 10 on the Myriarch. Yeah, well, hang on. Let me check. I think it's lethal, right? We kill. Blocked. Blocked. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, it's lethal. Oh, wow. Yeah, I almost went all in on the Liliana there, and that would be a bad idea, but... Yeah, I probably went with the Knight of the Ebon Legion instead of flipping the Nicol Bolas. I suppose we had a Tendershoot Dryad out, so it's not exactly the best thing in the world to, you know, just draw a card. I'm assuming that's the only thing that they had going for them. They could reanimate my Nylea, but it wouldn't be a creature. They could get a 1/1. Yeah, so I guess the tick-up wasn't really worthwhile on that that transformation. The removal just gets Nicol Bolas killed, but it gets rid of my Tendershoot Dryad. And the reanimation just had no target, so... Yeah, I guess they wanted to just go a little bit wide, use Nicol Bolas to protect the Liliana or something like that. But as it turns out, Ghalta gives Trample to Majestic Myriarch. We swing through, swing for lethal. Pretty solid.